Hey, welcome to NLN Chats, the podcast where learning gets real, fun, and totally about you. Whether you're on the bus, walking to class, or just chilling at home with a cup of tea, you're in the right place.
Here in Skills for Life, we talk about real-world skills, big dreams, small steps, and everything in between. From personal growth to digital safety, from teamwork to finding your voice, this is where you grow stronger.
No tests, no stress, just stories, tips, laughs, and skills you'll actually use. Sit back, press play, and let's level up your life, one skill at a time.
So everyone, let's chat! On today's show, we have none other than Caroline McLoughlin. Caroline McLoughlin, psychologist specialising in health, disability and educational support. She has worked with the National Learning Network for the past 24 years and currently works as a regional psychologist in the NLN centres in Tullamore, Mullingar and Longford. She works closely with students, their families and NLN staff team to promote learning and personal development so all students can have the support they need. So everyone, please welcome Caroline McLoughlin.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How are you feeling?
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm delighted to have been asked. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So we're going to start off with some questions now, all right? You're not getting interrogated, right? So we're not that type of show.
That's good.
Right?
The first question, for those who may not know you yet, could you tell us a bit about your role as a regional psychologist here at NLN?
I can indeed. So my role is quite a varied one, really. So like you rightly say, I'm a regional psychologist.
Yeah.
So that means that while I work here in Tullamore, I also work in other centres in quite a large region. So we have 4 centres in Mullingar that I work in, and we have 2 centres in County Longford that I work in. And my role is very varied. So I work predominantly with students, and that's to try and, I suppose, support all of you through your journeys here in National Learning Network and make sure that it's a positive experience for you. Outside of that, then, I also work very closely with staff teams, not just in our centres, but on a national level.
Yeah, it's good to know.
So we develop a lot of training, and I would deliver that training online then for staff members. And then I work on a national level, so working, I suppose, across the whole country. So an example of the work I do is, at colleges and universities, you'd have students who maybe have to do projects as part of their degrees, and they would apply to maybe do those projects here in services. So I would review all of those research proposals, they're called, coming in through, and I work on a team deciding whether or not it would be beneficial for our students to take part in those research projects. So lots of different things I do.
Yeah.
Hello, Caroline. Aoife here. Did you work anywhere else before joining LNL, and how did those experiences shape your career?
Thank you, Aoife. Yes, I did. I worked with the Irish Society for Autism, and I also worked with the Sisters of Charity. And both of those were very different types of work to what I do now, because they were residential services. So I would have done lots of shift work, and I'd have worked overnight in those agencies, both providing independent living skills and other levels of care for people, for adults with disabilities. And I suppose they really did shape my career. They showed me maybe what it would be like to be a psychologist. At that point, I was a social care worker. So I came into psychology later on in my life. So I was a social care worker in both of those jobs. So it gave me an insight into what other areas I could work in while working with supporting and helping people, and psychology was one of those. So that really did shape my career in terms of the psychology that I do now. And I also worked down in the college in Athlone in TUS. I was a lecturer down there for some time. And I really enjoyed that as well. That gave me a taste for developing teaching and training and working with adults as well.
Hi, Caroline. I was wondering, what inspired you to become a psychologist?
Well, I mentioned when I was chatting with Aoife there that I came to psychology later on in life. So I was very young doing my Leaving Cert, actually. There was no transition year when I was doing my Leaving Cert. So I was only 16 when I did my Leaving Cert and left school. And I suppose it's a really big decision to make at that age, what it is you might like to do with your life. But I always knew I wanted to work with people. So I attended Athlone at the time, many years ago, and I studied to be a social care worker. And I went on and worked in social care after that, and came on then in International Learning Network a number of years ago. So I'm here 24 years, and I've worn many different hats in National Learning Network. I came in working as a job coach and went through many different roles within National Learning Network. And I suppose as part of those roles, I worked very closely with a wonderful team of psychologists, and they really inspired me, because it allowed me to see that actually, these people really support our students and guide you through your learning while you're here with us. And that's really what inspired me to go back and look at becoming a psychologist. So I went back as a mature student. So it's never too late to fulfill your dreams. I went back as a mature student to become a psychologist.
Hi, Caroline. It's Ava Jane here. What are some challenges that you face in your work?
Hi, Ava Jane. For me, I think the greatest challenge is, because I work on a regional level, it can be a bit of a challenge to make sure that I'm giving the correct amount of time to the appropriate parts of my job. So it's a bit of a juggle, trying to make sure that I'm in Tullamore for enough time and in Mullingar for enough time, and spending enough time, developing training. So that's probably the main challenge, really, that kind of trying to juggle my time and make sure that it's being appropriately used.
Right. So I'm Eric, obviously. You've met me already. So what would you say are the biggest pros and cons of your job?
Hi, Eric. Well, the biggest pro is working with the students, and I suppose that's what I really enjoy about my job, that it's a face-to-face job. For lots of psychologists, they don't have the pleasure of working with people. It can be, research, so you're sitting at a desk all day. But for me, I love the combination of having that aspect, but also working with students. That's the real pro. I absolutely adore seeing the successes of our students, and I see them every single day, whether they're small successes or life-changing successes, and that's what keeps me really happy in my job. The con, I suppose, again, it comes back to that trying to juggle everything. It is a really, really busy post. I work 4 days and I cover lots of centres. So that can be the biggest challenge. But, I'm used to it now and it works out quite well. But it can be a challenge at really busy times. It can be a challenge just to make sure that I'm available for students when they need someone to talk to.
Okay.
Hi, Caroline. It's Nicole here.
Hi, Nicole.
What kind of education or journey is required to become a regional psychologist?
That's a great question. And it's, do you know what? It's a long journey. So I mentioned that I went back as a mature student. So when I started working in National Learning Network and worked with, like I said, a wonderful team of staff, and in particular, some of the psychologists really, really inspired me when I saw the work that they do and the difference that psychology can make in people's lives. So I decided to go back and study psychology. And that was in 2005. So I took 3 years off work, and I had to do a degree in psychology. So this would be the same journey that anyone would have to undertake to become a psychologist. So you do your degree, which takes 3 years. And that took me to do that full time. It took me 3 years. So I did that over in Maynooth. I then went on and I undertook a master's degree, which took 1 additional year, and I attended Trinity College to do that. And for the most part, to become a regional psychologist, that's what you would need. You would need your degree and a master's degree, because then you can apply for your chartership with the Psychology Society of Ireland, the PSI. But I suppose for me, an opportunity came up that I was able to progress further in my studies, and I spent, brace yourselves, a further 5 years in Trinity, and I completed my doctorate. So I just finished that maybe about 10 years ago now. I finished up. So it took me 10 years in total to get my qualification. But once you'd have a degree and a master's, you could potentially work as a regional psychologist with National Learning Network. But it's a long journey. Psychology in general is a long journey, but an enjoyable one.
Hi, my name is Jack. Welcome to our podcast. My question for you is, well, we're talking about psychology, but the most important is mental health and well-being. From my question from students and researchers, how can you support us with mental health and well-being?
Okay, Jack. And for me, that's the most important thing, like I said, is working with you, with the students. That's what I enjoy most about my job. And from your own perspective, how I can support you around your mental health and your well-being would be, the first thing I would say is communication. So I can only support you if you come to me and you say, listen, I could do, a little bit of guidance or a bit of support here. So that's always the first step, is that you speak out, that you look for help or you look for support. And the way that I would generally support is to listen and try and maybe come up with a solution. And that might be something that we can support you with here in the centre, or it might be that I might say to you, you know what, let's link in with the GP. Let's link in with Jigsaw. So we'll always come up with a solution together. But it's all about working towards your wellness here in the centre and supporting you in any which way that we can.
Thank you.
All right, Jack.
How does mental health impact learning and performance in the workplace?
Oh, it can have such a huge impact on our learning and our performance. So I suppose from a learning perspective, if we're struggling with our mental health, it can be really difficult to concentrate, so then our learning straight away is affected. It also, if we're struggling with our mental health, our motivation might be really low, so it can be hard to come in and, attend the services here. So then that can impact on our learning. And equally, it would be the same with your performance in the workplace. If you're struggling with your mental health or well-being, it can be, I suppose, really, really challenging to show up, to get up and go in every day and try and carry out whatever tasks it is and to sit and concentrate. So that's how it really, really impacts on us. And that's why I would always say, from your perspective, that you need to reach out, and if you need a bit of support, to ask for it.
Aoife again. What advice would you give someone who is struggling with anxiety, depression, or other mental health issues?
Okay, Aoife. I guess, like I just said, speak out and ask for help. I think that's so important, and to know that it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
The advice I would give would be absolutely speak out. Say, listen, I'm not managing right now. Always have somebody, always have, one key person that you can trust.
Yeah.
Whether that's a parent, a caregiver, a family member, a friend, myself in here, Matthias, your instructor. Always have one person that you can go to, because I think it's really important that we can open up and say, listen, I actually need some help here. The advice I would give then would be, I think sometimes we don't get to know ourselves as well as we should. And if we know ourselves and what it is we need to be doing to keep ourselves well then we can take a little bit of control over that, and a bit of personal responsibility, which is really important for all of us. We all have mental health and well-being. But it's really crucially important that we know what helps us. What is it that we do? We refer to them here as wellness tools. So what is it that we do to keep ourselves feeling well? So that's a piece of advice I would give you, to even consider that. what are 2 wellness tools that I have that would keep me well? You know, if I was struggling, if my anxiety was high, or maybe if my mood is a little bit low, what are the things that pick me up, or what are the things that can calm me? And they'll be different for everybody.
What if people are afraid and they don't want to say anything?
That can be really challenging, and that can make people feel even more anxious then, you know, because you're holding on to that. But again, my advice would be just try and find that one key person, you know, and it can be anybody, just one person that you can trust, that you can go and speak with. Because I think where there's trust, there's less fear. Sometimes the fear can be around, oh, is the person going to judge me if I say I'm struggling, or is the person going to tell somebody else that I don't want them to tell? So I think trust is really important, because if we trust somebody, that fear won't be as high.
Thank you, Anne.
That's okay.
It's Jen here again. How long have you been in the NLN?
I have worked here for 24 years. That's a long time. Most of you probably weren't even born.
Right here. Yeah.
I know, it's a long time, isn't it?
Yeah.
So obviously I love working with National Learning Network.
Yeah.
And I've worked in so many different centres. I started working over in Kildare. I actually worked in Portlaoise. And like I said, now I work in Tullamore, Mullingar and Longford. And I've had lots of different roles. I started out working as a job coach, which was a really interesting job. This was all before I went back to do psychology, where I would work with students who wanted to get a job. So I would help a student source like a paid employment, and then go into the workplace and train them in and stay with them until they were comfortable, and then gradually step away. And I loved doing that. That was a really nice job. I also worked as a Fresh Start instructor.
Really?
I did. When I was over in Naas in Kildare, I worked as a Fresh Start instructor. And then the final job that I had before I went back to study psychology was as an RO. So you're all familiar with the work that Pauline does. Yeah. So I worked as the RO in Kildare and Portlaoise before I went back to study. So I've had lots of different jobs over my 24 years. I've been a psychologist probably since 2013. So 12 years I've been a psychologist. Yeah.
How would you tell all people in different age and gender and all that, or what advice would you give to someone who wants to pursue a career as a psychologist or for the jobs?
Okay. The advice I'd give somebody who wants to pursue a career as a psychologist would be, if it's something you want to do it. It's a wonderful job. It's a really long journey to get the qualification, but it's so worth it. And, you know, it can be a challenging job, but any job can be challenging. And definitely the benefits of being a psychologist are just wonderful. I get so much joy out of coming into work every day. I really, really enjoy my job. So I think, you know, it would be important maybe, because it is quite a commitment. And I was so lucky that I got to, I suppose, maybe see what a psychologist does before I really signed up to it. And I had an understanding of how long it would take me to do all of the training, because I was lucky enough to have a team of psychologists in National Learning Network at that time that I could speak to. So I guess that's a piece of advice I would give. Maybe, you know, if you were thinking of going down the route of psychology, or indeed any career, to try and link in with somebody who's already doing that job, because they'll be really honest and they'll tell you, you know, warts and all, exactly what it is like to have that job, and then what it is like to do the training. Like, for example, for me, and I bet most of you mightn't realise, but there's lots of maths in psychology that I never realised until I lots of maths, because you do lots of work with statistics.
Yeah.
So, you know, it'd be really good. It's really good to check in with somebody who's already maybe has done the training or is working in the position you're thinking of, because then you get an overview of exactly what it's like.
Hello, Caroline. Drew here again. I asked you the first question, but now I'll be asking you 2 more questions.
Nice.
Did you enjoy coming onto this podcast? And who do you think we should bring on the podcast next?
Oh, okay. First of all, I absolutely did enjoy it.
That's good to know.
It's been lovely sitting with you chatting because, like I said, this is the part of my work that I really, really enjoy, is interacting with you as students. And I was a little bit nervous coming in, but the nerves went straight away because you made me feel really comfortable. So thank you for that. And also, it was quite a privilege to have been asked. Yeah. So I did enjoy it. In terms of recommending who you should invite next, oh gosh, wait till I see. I think, and we did speak about this earlier, but I think maybe the centre manager, Keelan, would be good. Or also Patrina Murray, the programme development officer.
Yeah, right.
Because Patrina would give you as students an insight into what goes into developing all of the training programmes here for National Learning Network and how it is that your assessments are all corrected and graded. So she would be a good person.
We invited her, so hopefully she'll come on soon.
Oh, I'll put in a good word for you.
Thank you.
So that's it for the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. From everyone here, thank you very much for coming, and we're gonna let Drew have the final words here. So
that's all the time we have, Caroline. But it was so lovely talking with you, diving into these deep topics, and I hope our listeners found it engaging as I did, because it's always a pleasure to have someone on our podcast so we can hear their insights and then connect with them. But yeah, I look forward to the release of this episode so our audience can hear it. And yeah, just thank you for being a guest on the podcast.
Oh, you're more than welcome. And thank you so much. It's been a really enjoyable experience. And I look forward to listening to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.